Hello. Welcome to Sales Learning Outbound Sales Training Lead Generation. This video is being designed for all of our outbound sales training individuals who are looking to do lead generation. If you see this video on YouTube, you may purchase this video with sound. All you need to do is contact us at 469 557 1500, or you may send us an email at sales@saleslearning.org. Well, there are several different aspects of the lead generation process, and we're going to go over a few of them today. One is organizing your workspace. We've got our raw lead prospecting, making cold calls, your introduction, adding value to the conversation, having a focused presentation, building effective reports, gathering information, successful callbacks, lead closing, and submitting electronic forms. Now, organizing your workspace. Professional workspaces are very important. A quiet workspace is what's ideal. The customer should not be able to hear noise in your background. Loud noise does not sound very professional. You must give the illusion as though you are working from inside an office, not a noisy call center, but a professional workspace. So when it comes to home offices, make sure you select a space in your home that feels very comfortable. This includes having notes in front of you so you can visualize what you are saying to the customer. It's good to post notes and information about what you will be saying to the customer. There should be no disturbances whatsoever. Make sure you are able to concentrate on your dialing and nothing else when you begin to call. You cannot be annoyed by anyone else in the house. This includes other family members and pets, because pets do bark, as we know, like dogs, and cats meow. Please put your cell phone on mute while you are dialing, and move all home telephones, those are your landlines, into another area of your home so that if by chance they do ring, nobody else can hear that. Now, when it comes to designing your workspace, your computer is and your headset and your notebooks are the most important items that you're going to do this job. So before you start working every day, make sure that your computer is ready. You must have a good internet connection and have the correct window pages up and running. Get your prospects ready to dial in your window pages. Have your phone pro ready to dial, and make sure that you have your sales pro open and ready to complete when you get a sales lead. You need a headset. You explained that from day one when you went to our job webinar informational training. Make sure you have a good working headset. The caller must speak directly into the mouthpiece, and please make sure that your volume is not too loud. You can test it out before you call your first customer. You can test that out with a friend of yours, or another family member that might be in the house. And also make sure that the customer can understand what you're saying on both ends. Okay? Um, so you do need a notebook, and you need a notebook per campaign. Recording callbacks and lead appointments on notebooks is very essential. What you should do is write the name of the campaign on the outside of the notebook with a big magic marker if you've got one of those, okay? And then lastly here that we want to talk about when we talk about organizing your workspace. Make sure that you have a set schedule that you're kind of, you know, disciplining yourself to follow every single week. Having a set schedule is the key to disciplining yourself for getting the best results. You must have great motivation. If you are a morning person, then set a time to dial no later than 9 a.m. to work until 12 p.m. Do this every day for 3 days and see what kind of results that you bring. Motivation. So you just got into an argument with your husband, for example, and you are not ready to work today. However, you have bills to pay, as we all do. What should you do? Should you not work? or should you go ahead and just log in and start working? Well, here are some tips. I recommend that you sit down and you relax before you get on the telephone. Get your mind and body in a relaxing, comfortable mood so that you are able to build a rapport with the customer and also to maintain a positive attitude at all times. And remember, those are just tips. So if you've got some better things that you find that work more beneficial for you, go ahead and utilize them. All we know is that you've got to get yourself in an upbeat, positive, professional mood before you can start dialing out. And that's what we're looking for here at Sales Learning Corporation. So now, what we do here at Sales Learning is that we specialize in doing raw lead prospecting. Okay, and I'm going to give you a few tips right now to that and to kind of explain why we do that. Okay, so the three items that are very important here is that we've got finding the right audience to call when we do our raw lead prospecting. Also, selecting the best websites to search for when you are looking for your prospects. And then also using non-traditional methods for prospecting. So the first one is finding the right audience to call. Targeting the proper audience when dialing on a campaign is essential. For example, if the client sells their products to only African Americans, does it make sense to call people from other ethnicities? Well, you might find this discriminatory, and that does not mean that other ethnic groups won't buy their products or services. But if calling a specific population is going to get you the lead appointment faster, because remember, you are commission based, okay, and you need to make the money, doesn't that make more sense financially for you to go ahead and find those prospects that are either related to African American businesses or even say African American residences? Now, another great example of targeting a specific group of people is to make sure you have a better chance of getting your lead appointment so that you can get paid. Because again, remember that this position is a commission paid position. Okay. The second thing is selecting the best websites to search for prospects. Now, we all know that there are hundreds of search engines available on the web. Sales Learning prides itself on getting raw lead appointments. And that's why we have such a great success with our clients before you begin working for the day. You should all make sure that the websites that you're searching for prospects on target the right population that you are seeking. And here's an example of that. If you are calling on our account Image One Facility Solutions, who sells primarily to apartment complexes, their commercial cleaning services, doesn't it make sense to search for websites that have a list of apartment complexes in targeted cities that Image One Facility Solutions services? I mean, because you want to make a lead appointment because that's how you get paid. So you want to find again website search engines that will give you the prospects for the list and the targeted audience that you are seeking. Okay. And then we have lastly, using non-traditional methods for prospecting. So as you know, searching on the web is not the only way that you can find prospects. So finding prospective customers on the World Wide Web is not the only best method to dial businesses. If you are working on an advertising campaign, it might be beneficial for you to grab a few magazines or newspapers in your city and seek their latest advertisers. Some of the best advertising companies are copycats. This is what they do. There are actual call centers here in America that pick up magazines and newspapers and find out everybody who has actually purchased an ad in that magazine or newspaper, and they will call them because they know that that business already pays for advertising. Okay, so for example, Another example is if you are working on a sales learning as a business developer, you might want to take 2 days out of the week and walk through business districts in your area and introduce yourself to the business owners and leave your personal business cards too. So there are many non-traditional methods for prospecting, and these are just a few of the examples. You might have some of your own. Go ahead and utilize them. Next, we have making cold calls. Always make sure that you prepare yourself for the best communication. Number one, make sure you communicate in an effective way that allows your listeners to understand what you are saying at all times. Of course, your pronunciation and your tone are the best way to communicate effectively. In fact, studies have shown that people who communicate poorly when making sales calls are the least likely to close a deal. Okay? So it's very important that you take the time and practice your telephone script. But don't say word for word on any telephone script because remember, you need to sound like a sales professional. And so that's why it's best to try to get your own words that sound like they're coming from you naturally and put that in the telephone script. However, make sure you are not using language that is offensive or even slang words that the customer does not know or even know what you're talking about. They need to be able to understand what you are saying. Okay. Second, asking for the right person to speak with is very essential. Now, at this point, you know who you're calling because you've done some prospecting, right? And for what reason, depending upon the campaign that you're dialing. So you must make sure that you are asking for the right person, the owner, the manager, or the decision maker. If you talk to the wrong person, you're just simply wasting your time. And you don't have time to waste because you need to make money. Remember, you are in a commission based position. If you are calling a small business with less than 10 employees, it's more than likely the person who answers the telephone is the business owner. Do not make yourself sound like an amateur by asking for the wrong person. Instead, just jump right into the pitch and explain the reason why you're calling them. Because remember, there are a lot of small business owners that answer their own telephone. So you're going to do what's called an assumptive close prematurely with the prospect. Okay? And third is delivering your pitch with confidence. Speaking with confidence and sincerity is not a skill that everyone possesses. We do realize that. And that is one reason why we have this training video. Okay? And that is one of the reasons why you are going to practice so that you become very efficient. However, if you practice your pitch over and over again, I can guarantee that you are going to become more proficient. You may not be able to ad lib your sentences right away. However, unless you know what you're talking about, it is not going to come clear. You're not going to become proficient at it. So you do have to practice. Find deep down in your consciousness a medium where you can persuade others to believe in what you're saying. And try your pitch on other family members first because you are not less likely going to be afraid to make those mistakes and those errors before you actually make your first telephone call when you're cold calling. Okay. Now, the other thing is about cold calling is that tone is so very important. I mean, probably the most important thing that you can have when you're trying to connect to somebody. Okay. So, practice your sentence structure and how you pronounce your words. Tone encompasses volume. Talk a little bit louder than normal and then fluctuate your voice so it's going up and down. So there's a little excitement, kind of like if you're reading a children's storybook. Okay, to small children. Children like they listen and they grasp onto the fluctuation of your voice. So when you talk louder, people listen, You have their attention, okay? And you must have a steady, smooth voice, but use a scale of different tones when you are speaking. You do not want to bore them with a sad tone. Make sure at all times that your tone is uplifting and upbeat. Next, we have your introduction. There are three bullet points here: why, talk fast, and your question. Okay? You have to have a question, which we often refer to as a transitional statement in this training. So, the first one, why? In your introduction, you are going to always ask, why are you calling? Get to the point right away because people don't have a lot of time these days, okay? Introduce who you are, and that needs to be in your first sentence. Who you are. For example, hello, my name is Michelle. I'm with Image One Facility Solutions. How are you doing today? Okay, that's an example. Now, secondly, talk fast. Again, nowadays, people don't have a lot of time to talk to you on the telephone. They're getting hundreds of calls every week from telemarketing center, call centers all over the world now. Okay. And they just don't have the time because they have a job to do. Else they're not going to be able to pay their bills, make their money just like you need to pay your bills. So when you call them, please make sure that you're going to speak fast, but also make sure that you understand what you are saying and asking them. Okay. Else they're not going to understand you. Also, make sure you're transitioning your statements. Let them know at the beginning that you do not want to take a lot of their time right now, but instead you'd rather call them back at a better time. That transitional statement right there, that you are not wanting to take a lot of their time right now and you want to call them back at a time that is better, is the key here, because it's the key for for them to continue on listening to you, because they can accept that. If you caught them at a bad moment or time when you made that first initial call to give your introduction, then hurry up and stating that within the first minute is going to be an asset for you. It's also a transitional statement so that you can go ahead and ask the question, what is the best time for us to call you back? And then they're going to look in their calendar and they're going to find out the date and time for you to call them back. So you're getting a lot further in your conversation, in your introduction. You're getting this to turn into a paid lead appointment for yourself. Okay? Now, lastly, your question. Again, ask your question fast. Your introduction should not last more than 1 minute. If it does, you need to shorten the length. Okay? After you ask your question, please, this is extremely important. You have got to shut up. Let them answer. Do not talk. At this stage, the first person who speaks after you ask will lose. Let them decide on whether this call is worth their while. Okay? That is very important. Again, after you ask your first question, okay, please shut up and let them answer. Adding value to your pitch. What makes the company valuable? That's very important when you're calling on a client. If you don't know anything about this client and you're new, you're going to need to do some research to find out what makes this company valuable, their products, their services, okay? Find out, why do people do business with them? For example, why is Google more popular than Yahoo? Okay? Well, number one, Google has a whole line of products that people can benefit from, versus Yahoo, They might have great email. They might have a line of products, but people have gotten more familiar with Google. So you want to talk a little bit about what makes them unique here. And then also look at, do they have loyal customers? Are they keeping their customers? That's something that's a plus. It's going to add value to your pitch when you're speaking to these people just for that short 3 to 5 minutes. Do they have a good customer service when you know on their products and their services? Okay? And are their products durable? These are other things that you can do a little bit of research on. So, research here is the key. Find out a little bit more about that company. You can find out that knowledge looking on, just through web search engines on the web, going to take a look at their website. There's a lot of different ways you can find out about the company, especially if the company's been around a lot longer, which a lot of our clients, they've been around for quite a long time. We've got clients that have been around for 40, 50 years. Okay. So now the next thing is ask yourself, does the client have affordable products and services? We never discuss price when we're generating leads. That is a no-no. We just don't do that. However, you can mention to the customer that the products of our clients are very affordable. Okay? So the services and the products that our clients have are affordable and that they would appreciate that. But that is going to be discussed. You need to always let them know if they ask you price up front that is going to be discussed by the client themselves. When they call back, they're going to explain to them and give them a quote. That is the whole reason why you're doing the lead generation here. Okay? So make sure that you are always, emphasizing something of value. And pricing is a good one that you can emphasize value because people are very concerned about saving money these days. Now, thirdly, here are some important questions that you might ask. How long has the company been in business? Okay. Also, like I just told you, some companies have been in business for like 40, 50 years. So longevity is always a plus here. The client's unique products and services is an asset to your pitch. Okay. So it's all about adding that value to your pitch. When you add value to your pitch, you must know when and what to say at the right time during the conversation. You're not going to just blurt out all these different things that add value to the pitch, but adding value is important in the intro. It's important in the presentation, and it's important when you start rebuttaling. So make sure you have excellent listening skills. Wait your turn to speak through in a statement that is positive about the client. So wait your turn to speak, okay? And then make sure that your statement is positive about the client. Focused presentations only. Make sure that your presentation is focused. So first, always stay on the topic. Why are you calling the customer? The best way to describe this training module is to discuss what not to talk about. So for example, if you're calling on the Image One Facility Solutions account, would it make sense to talk about software or any other topic that is not related to commercial cleaning? Stay focused and discuss what's relevant at the time. Okay. Secondly, don't discuss subjects that will trigger people not to like the client or yourself when you're on the phone with them. As the saying goes, never talk about sensitive subject matter or make inferences that might be negative, like talking about politics, religion, or someone in particular. However, you can make positive generalizations, for example, if you mention how a particular customer of the client uses their services or products and find it to be awesome. This may help you get that lead. So, again, don't discuss subjects that will trigger people not to like you or the client. Okay, keep it positive. Also, now, thirdly, use buzzwords when giving your presentation. Say catchy words that they may find funny but yet true, because everybody loves a good laugh. I know I do. But don't use offensive language or words that they don't simply understand or have any relevance to the client's services or products. So, again, you're keeping a focused presentation. Okay? Now, you need to limit the length of your presentation. Remember, we are doing a 3 to 5 minute phone call because we've got a lot of people to dial here. We have a lot of money that we need to make because we've got bills we need to pay. Okay? So you're going to limit the length of your presentation to only 1 minute. And you can test this out again by practicing this out on a family member or a friend. And then, record yourself to see how fast it's going. It'll let you know. So you must always say the most important subject matter first. Okay? Again, ask yourself what's important to discuss in that 1 minute. Okay? Now, next, ask, is your point getting across effectively to the customer? Okay? You need to know that what you're saying is straightforward. Okay? It's getting across very effectively. Did the customer understand what you were asking them or what you were talking about? Furthermore, did the customer think that the conversation was relevant to what they do in their profession? I mean, let's just say, hey, you're calling somebody. That's why this whole thing about targeting a specific audience and prospects is very important, because if you're calling, for example, you have to connect the dots, make the conversation relevant to what their needs are. For example, you call an auto mechanic for Legal Shield. Tell the customer that Legal Shield will help them protect their business against any liability claims by offering them a vast selection of legal services, which is true because that is what Legal Shield does. Now, Legal Shield, it's not viable to call a prospect targeted audience of attorneys here. You're not going to call attorneys and try to sell them Legal Shield. It makes no sense. They're already attorneys and they already know how to protect themselves. Okay? So that's why here prospecting the right client and who to call is very important. You don't have to worry about those limitations because, hey, you got so many prospective customers out there that could benefit from Legal Shield. Okay? And that will, if you need help doing that, that is something that we can work with you on a one-on-one basis to make sure that you are targeting the right prospects for the customers. I'm sorry, for the clients' products and services. Okay? So, nextly and the lastly is, when you're doing a focused presentation, you are going to need to control your conversation with transitional statements. That is the most effective way to get through your presentation. Okay? So, a transitional statement would always ask a pertinent question, such as asking the customer an open-ended question versus a closed-ended question. I'm sure many of you guys heard of this before. I don't know if you remember, but an open-ended question will allow for the customer to expand their thought with what you just asked them, whereas a closed-ended statement will simply be a yes or no answer, which is what you don't want, and that's which generally will result them into saying no. Okay, so if you ask them a closed-ended statement and they really don't feel like talking to you on the phone at that time, they're going to just simply say no to you. Okay, so here's an example. For you would not say, Joni, would you be interested in purchasing legal services from Legal Shield? That is a closed-ended statement. Okay? Instead, you're going to say, Joni, please tell me, what type of legal issues have you had in the past? That is going to allow Joni to expand on what you just asked her. You're going to get maybe 3 or 4 sentences out of her, which are going to be very valuable for our client when they call them back. Okay? And then again, remember, you're not trying to keep them on the phone for a long time, but you're trying to get them involved in the conversation because, it helps with their interests. You're getting them going, you're getting them, fired up. Okay? They might think about some things that have happened in the past when they were doing contracts and when they had an employee that, they had to terminate or what have you. And they might realize, hey, yeah, I could truly benefit from Legal Shield. Okay? So that's very important that your presentation is always focused. Next, we have what is called building an effective rapport with the customer. This is probably one of the most important things that you can do when you're talking to the customer. First, you want to always make sure that you're basically talking to the customer as though they are your best friend, literally. You don't know these people, you've never talked to them before. It is a cold call, but they have to feel comfortable speaking with you. So, when talking to the customer, don't be shy or afraid to ask questions. Don't talk down to them even though they don't know or understand why you're calling them. It is important to warm them up a little bit by asking them, how is their day going? Okay, so Joni, how is your day going so far today? Okay, be polite and courteous. Make sure that you're listening well too, because listening skills and timing is very important when you're doing sales. It is your job to mirror what their personality is. Okay, if you don't understand what mirroring is, please look this topic up. It's very important when you're doing sales. Meaning, if they are a straight talker, or if they're telling jokes, you should try doing the same without being offensive. Okay, you might not be good at telling jokes. However, it's just worth a try. Just something a little bit catchy that, makes them laugh. Okay, next, you want to spend as much time possible building a good rapport with whoever answers the telephone. Limit the amount of time that you spend building the rapport to less than a minute. If the gatekeeper does not want you to speak to the decision maker, then give the gatekeeper your presentation pitch. Gatekeepers have feelings too, okay? They want to be just a part of the conversation as the owner themselves. And remember that the owner has hired the gatekeeper to screen your telephone call. So you have to get past the gatekeeper. Next, use outstanding customer service skills to get what you want. Hopefully, most of you have worked in a customer service role before. And if you ever have worked in that role, then you'll understand the basics of customer service. So you will know that speaking politely in a positive, upbeat tone always works in customer service. Having the utmost respect for the customer is the key here. It's a must. Always listen to what they say and never interrupt them for any reason whatsoever. Okay? And then, depending on what region of the country you're from, you may find it more comfortable to say yes, sir, or yes, ma'am to them instead of referring to them by their name. But if you're not feeling comfortable with saying yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, go ahead and say, hey, Joni, you know, I don't know how you feel about this, but, you know, I think Legal Shield is a good product. They're very affordable and so on. Use their name inside of your sentence structure. That is the key here, okay? Getting them involved into the conversation. Next, customer service is just only about, again, being nice to the customer and listening well, okay? It's also about solving a problem that the customer may have. Okay, so not do we have only customer service being sounding nice, being polite, courteous, and all those great things. And then, of course, you need to listen well so you can respond well, but you also need to solve their problem. For example, you're calling on the Image One Facility Solutions account, and the customer tells you that every time they select using a cleaning company, They clean great for the first couple of weeks, and then maybe a couple of weeks after that, they're not cleaning so well. They're starting to see dust, garbage is not being picked up, or what have you. You must convince them at that time that this will never happen with Image One for any reason whatsoever. Also, start explaining things like, hey, after you found out about the company, of course, Image One, they're going to give you a 100% guarantee. They might even give you a free clean. That service, if they didn't clean up, you're not going to be charged for. Okay, so that's again, you're doing your research, you're finding out what is so great about Image One and how do they treat their customers. You can bring all this out into your presentation. Again, you are building an effective rapport with these customers. Next, always have integrity, be sincere, have confidence, and be honest on what you are saying to the customer. As a rule of thumb, you would never talk rude to your best friend, right? Okay? So if you cared about them, why would you talk to a complete stranger in a bad tone? Expect them to respect you and give you the sales lead appointment because that's what you need. You need that sales lead appointment for you to get paid. Again, you have bills that you need to pay. Another way of putting it is always be sincere. They have got sincerity is not something that everybody possesses in a soft skill set when they're doing selling. It's kind of something that you learn after practice, after you've talked to several people, and even for a long period of time. You may not even gain that sincerity for years to come. However, you can your tone of voice and everything could be sincere. Okay, so that's something that you might need to work on. Also, show integrity, okay, and confidence while speaking to customers. The best way that you can show integrity is to always be honest with them. Always, okay? Don't make up anything that is not true or factual here when you're talking to a prospective customer. Okay, so make sure that you're showing integrity and then in your voice, in your tone, have that confidence so that they can believe what you're saying. Okay. Then the next thing here, lastly, it's true that the best salespeople in the world are those who convey confidence in their tone while they are selling. You must work on getting others to believe in what you have to say for good practice. Try selling something that you like to someone you know and see if you can persuade them to buy it. Again, practice this on your family members in the house or maybe a good friend of yours. If they actually buy what you are selling them, then you know that you have successfully accomplished this task. And there is a likelihood that you'd be able to persuade customers with high confidence. Okay? So try that practice out. It really does work. Now, next, you need to gather information and you also need to control the conversation. Okay? So, asking the right questions is very important here. Getting the information you need when you need it is important. You need the information now. You need it within that 3 to 5 minute phone call that you're making in that cold call. You must always control the conversation because remember in sales, that makes us that is what is so very different from doing customer service or doing inbound calling. Outbound calling is about controlling the conversation, getting the people to go where you want them to go so that you can close the lead. Okay, so the first one, asking the right questions. Make sure you're getting questions that pertain to the subject matter. This may be a moment when you need to follow the telephone script. Okay, for example, you need to know if they have a need for the customer's products or services. Are you going to start talking to them about how nice the weather is outside? No, you are not. You're going to stick to the presentation and you're going to stick to the facts of what you need to talk about. Okay? Next, getting the information when you need it and you need it now, you must always ask the first question. Let them ask the question after you get the information you need. Okay? So let them ask questions again after you get the information that you need. Using timing to control the conversation. You do not want to waste a lot of the customer's time again. You want to control it, but you want it to be timed. And you want to ask those questions when it is the right time. Okay? Don't interrupt. Just ask your question, get through with it, and move along and get your sales lead appointment. Now, lastly, you must always control the conversation. Be assertive and not aggressive. And we put in the presentation some examples of what assertive is. So to be assertive means to have or to show confidence and having a forceful personality. You must use persuasion along with the right tone when asking transitional statements to get what you want during the conversation. You don't want to be aggressive though, because to be aggressive means to be ready or likely to attack or confront. We are not trying to confront them. Again, we are trying to get their business. We want to get along with them again as though they are our best friend. You wouldn't treat a best friend by confronting them all the time. Now, being aggressive also has the characterization or the result of showing aggression. So you don't want to show aggression in any, any way whatsoever. Some examples of this would be like to pursuing one's aims or interests forcefully sometimes when you are not trying to do so. So just understand the difference between being aggressive and being assertive. Now, making successful callbacks when the gatekeeper is an issue is something that a lot of people in sales have a really hard time with, okay? And in fact, I would say it's probably one of the main reasons why people give up doing lead generation, because they're making all these cold calls, but they're getting the receptionist or they're getting that gatekeeper that just will not let them in the door to speak to who they need to talk to. Okay, you need to talk to the decision maker. You need to talk to the managers in charge, or you need to talk to the owner because you need to get an agreement. You need to get that, okay, yes, I am interested. Please give me a call back or have the client call me back at a later date. And you're not going to get that if the gatekeeper is an issue. Okay, so number one, transitional statements. So you call back the customer to get the lead. What is the best approach? Always make sure you're saying something like this. Hello, my name is Michelle. I am with Image One Facility Solutions. I was told to call back today to reach the decision maker to introduce our company to Tom. Or you might want to say something like this. It's important that I reach Tom today because we have a service or product that may benefit your company. We don't want to waste, don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. So I would like to see if Tom is available. Can I speak with him right now? Many times you will be asked a question or make a transitional statement when you speak with customers. Transitioning a statement helps to move the conversation along in a direction that is the most beneficial in lead generation. Again, you need to control that conversation. It will also help to provide great persuasion when you're speaking to the gatekeepers. So find the best way to get past the gatekeeper, okay? And that may be getting them involved, okay? So getting past the gatekeeper, one of the key things you should know that most gatekeepers are taught to get you off the telephone. So you must engage them into your conversation. Again, don't be rude. Don't say something like this. I can only speak with the owner because this is an important telephone matter. Remember, you are not a collection agency, okay? That's what collection agents say. Okay, they got, and right then and there, you're not going to get past the gatekeeper. So, involve the gatekeeper here. Be honest. Give your pitch to the gatekeeper as though the gatekeeper is the decision maker, because many times they act as though they are. You know that when you've called, they're going to act like they're the owner here, and you should tell them everything. Go ahead and explain it to them. Take that 3 to 5 minutes and go ahead and give them that pitch, because you know what's going to happen is that they're going to go back and they're going to tell the owner what you said. And, they're all excited about it. So that's just going to give a plus for you for when you do that callback. Okay. You also have to add value and engage them into the conversation as well as, if you were talking to the customer themselves while you were adding value. We just discussed adding value. Add that same value with the gatekeeper. For example, if the gatekeeper will not let you speak to the decision maker, ask them if they can ask the decision maker what you are seeking, and that you will follow up with them in a few days to get that answer. Okay? This is only done in a case where you just can't get through to the gatekeeper. You get them engaged, explain everything, but then go ahead and ask them. Say, hey, Joni, is it okay that, maybe you can ask Tom, the owner, if it's okay for us to follow up with him in a few days, okay? And, follow up with them basically and get that answer. At that time, when you call back to that gatekeeper, or even if you get Tom on the phone at that time, they're going to remember who you are and really what the reason is why you had called initially. So they're going to give you an answer, and they're going to give you a straightforward one. And more than likely, they're going to say yes, okay, to you. So remember, you must emphasize what you are selling and that it is important to the customer's company. Okay? Lastly, your call is important right now, not later. You cannot allow them to get you off the phone without you giving your sales pitch. Okay? So, if they say to you, for example, well, right now is not a good time. You're going to have to throw out there, well, I didn't want to take a lot of your time, Joni, but if you could just give me a moment, I just want to ask you one question. Okay? You're making that transitional statement so that you can get the information that you need. The average customer these days receive a flood of sales telephone calls, again, all over the world, hundreds of calls every week, okay? People from the Philippines, people from all over the world, Indonesia. You just, think of it. It's just a lot of people don't want to take any calls. So you must express a great need and importance for them to take your telephone call, and that they need to speak to you. For example, you're selling website development services for one of our clients, Magic Business Builder. Well, how many companies offer website building? I mean, there's thousands of companies out there that sell website development. But again, what makes Magic Business Builder services unique? First, you need to do your research and understand that Magic Business Builder offers explainer videos like the videos that you see on YouTube, kind of like the video that we're doing right now. Not many companies can offer this premier type of video production if they offer website development. Okay, so this is going to give the customer an edge on their social media visibility if they have video explainer videos like on YouTube or so on in social media. So now you must get that point across to them that, hey, we are not like everybody else. You have to express to the customer that we have an awesome reputation for producing great videos. Plus, you must persuade them that the customer at that time that the call is important. It's important right now. But reassure them that you will not take a lot of their time, as I mentioned before, because again, they're busy. So reassure them that we're going to call you back, Joni, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to explain to you, at that time, some of our prices, give you a quote, and just kind of more explain to you in detail at a better time and date that works better for you. Okay, at your convenience, Joni. Get that point across to them. Very important. Next, one of the most important things here again is closing the lead. Okay, this is how you're going to get paid. So you need to seal the deal. After you have called several prospects and finally think you have a viable lead, the best way to generate a lead appointment is an assumptive close. Assuming that the customer wants the client's services or products is the best method when dialing and closing the lead. If you don't understand what an assumptive close is, Sales Learning recommends that you do more research on this topic. There's a lot of information on there on assumptive closing, okay? Next, reassure them that they will benefit from the customer service or product. Assurance is a great quality to assume when closing the lead appointment because everyone, including yourself, wants to be reassured that they are making the best decisions for the company and for themselves. For example, if affordability is an issue for the customer, you should talk to them about how the client has the most affordable products and services in the industry. Now, we're not asking you to be dishonest here. Want you to say things that are very factual and very true, okay? Because integrity, again, is very important here. They must be able to believe in you, and you must be very sincere here, okay? So, make sure that the products are affordable and that there is a competitive edge. Again, you're not talking about price. You're just making a generalization to the customer that affordability is something that we have, and I think we can offer that to you. Okay. Now, also using persuasion and assertiveness when you finalize the call. Tell them that they have nothing to lose by getting more information about what the customer has to offer them. It does not cost anything for the customer to get information about, the client's products and services. So, reassure them, hey, this is worth your while. This may be something that you could really benefit from in the future. So, just take a few moments, maybe in the future, not now. If not now, if you don't have the time, we'll love to call you back, of course, because remember, you're doing the lead generation anyway. Somebody is going to call them back or stop by their office for an in-person appointment to give them a quote. You need to reassure them that, hey, this is something that may benefit you and your company in the future. Okay, so Sales Learning recommends that you use as much persuasion as possible to seal the deal. In doing so, you must be able to control the conversation at all times. Okay, lastly, when you're closing the lead, confirm your appointment dates and times. You should always confirm your lead appointments because if the customer is not available on a specific date and time when the client calls back or goes by their office for an in-person lead appointment, then Sales Learning cannot pay you for the lead appointment. So it's very essential that you rebut and restate and confirm your appointment date and time. It only takes a few minutes, or actually a few seconds. I didn't mean to say a few minutes, a few seconds to reiterate that the client will be calling them back or showing up for the lead appointment on a specific date and time. Okay? Now, lastly here, submitting your electronic form for Sales Learning is very, very important here. Okay? We need to focus on three very important things here. One is completing the required fields on the form. Second, there needs to always be accuracy. And then third, what's important here is that you need to get paid. So, the first one, complete the required fields. All the fields on the form with an asterisk must be completed before you can submit the form to the client. You are not going to be allowed to leave that information blank. If for some reason you forget to get the pertinent information that you must need for that callback for the customer, or try to find out that information online by visiting their website. So go online and see if you can get that information. For example, if you need their email, you can get their email and their address online, usually on their website. That does not mean you need to call them back for that reason. Okay? So, however, if you're not finding it online, you are going to have to give a quick call back. And you could just say something like this: oh, Joni, I am so sorry to have to call you back right now, but I just really need to get that email because I really want to send you out some information about who our company is, and so that you can get familiar with who we are as well. Okay? All right. And then just verify the email. Now, secondly, accuracy. Don't misspell words. Check your spelling regularly when you're completing the form because each form is sent to the client directly after you submit it. We do not want our clients to get these forms and they've got all these misspellings and it just kind of looks like it's very, amateurish and very, I would say, elementary. Okay. So don't lie about anything as well into the conversation that you had with the customer and put that into the form. So we don't want you to make up anything in the notes section or anything that is actually not true. You need to have integrity and you need to be honest at all times. Okay? Now, to get paid here, it's very important that you confirm your appointments. You need to make sure that you let the customers know that someone will be calling them back on a specific date and time. So, for example, you're going to say, Joni, I just want to reiterate that we are going to be calling you back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So please make sure you're available. We're going to need about 5 minutes of your time to just tell you a little bit more about our company. We will be calling you back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. When you make that last confirmation of that date and time of when we're going to be calling back, they're going to jot that down in their calendar and they're going to remember that you told them that you were going to be calling them back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. That is going to reassure that you're going to get paid. Trust me, it does work every and each time. Okay? So now in our video here, we have also many subject matter that you can look up on your own. We put some links in there on some good articles on different subject matters about the video itself here. So you must do your research. Find out what works best for other sales professionals. Okay, so we put that in there for your educational learn right now. All right. And then also we have different training modules and quizzes that we would like for you to kind of, go over a few things and make sure that you're comprehending everything that we're saying here. So as you can see, there is a bonus question in each of the modules, quizzes. So go ahead and take the time to do these. There's several of them. We've got one on raw lead prospecting, making cold calls, your introduction, adding value, focus presentations, building effective rapports, gathering information and controlling the conversation, making successful callbacks when the gatekeeper is an issue, closing the lead, submitting your electronic form. So we want you to understand this fully. Please answer each question to the best of your ability, and you may use the notes if you have to. This is the end of this presentation. Again, my name is Michelle Gibson. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing for Sales Learning Corporation. We want to get some feedback from you. Let us know what you think about these training modules, and if they were helpful for you, you may contact me directly. My telephone number is 469-557-1500, or you may go ahead and shoot me an email at sales@saleslearning.org. Remember that the copyrights are reserved by Sales Learning Corporation for 2016, and that if you would like to purchase this video in a different format, you may do so as well. So, hey, it was nice talking to you all, and I really do hope that this video does help you in the future. You have a wonderful day.